A number of years ago, when British Columbia came to us asking for a pilot project to decriminalize certain drugs, to put...
Another pilot project they had was putting tents on our street in native downtown east side and turning it into a pure hell. We have to inhale now. We have so many urine spots. Human urine fumes are so bad. I got to take medication to live in this neighborhood. 3.5 years for those idiots that call themselves medical people to even diagnose it, even though I told them all the time, I live in a toilet. I live in an outdoor toilet. It's like everybody's lost in charge on the top, lost their minds, and lost their hygienic knowledge. They get more support than anybody in my neighborhood. They're allowed to beat us, rob us, murder us, and discriminate. They're allowed to be male misogynistics. They're even allowed to steal. They're allowed to break our windows. They're allowed to rape in tents. So let's listen to them. Oh, by the way, I did counsel 2 women from Oppenheimer Park in, I believe it was 2020, and both of them cried. They were told by Sarah Bly they're not allowed to complain about being SA'd. They had no abilities to say no, and that's what comes with living in a tent city. I was traumatized as a victim of that myself. I still am. I can still remember those 2 young women crying to me. And then another woman telling them they have to get over it. That it comes with living in a tent city. And that person has grade 10 and mental illness, admittedly, and you can find it online. She admits to it. And she's in charge of OPS, Overdose Prevention Society, which I call Overdose Genocide Society, lowering carbon footprints 1 heartbeat at a time. This guy is so out of touch with reality, or he's just going for sacrifices for his religion. That's what I think.
The emphasis and the onus on a public health response to...
First of all, if drug addict addiction is a health response, why the fuck are you hiring someone with grade 10 education to be in charge of a drug pandemic? Grade 10 education. I have a video of her and her manager. Her manager's almost naked on our streets, looking like a pervert. And she's recording it. It is so disgusting and vile to watch. I have been stalked by her staff. Her staff stole one of my GoPros off my stroller by the home. Been robbed so many times by druggies. If it really is a medical, then tell them to get medical help, not more drugs. Look at his face. His face makes me sick.
To the toxic drug supply and opioid crisis, we worked with them. We moved forward on this pilot project, and when they came back recently and said we need to make an adjustment to it.
Guess where your tents came from, Canada? We were the pilot project for Tents on Our Street. Check my YouTube channel.
We granted them that adjustment in terms of public spaces. We're going to continue to take an approach grounded in public health, not criminal justice for people.
Once again, Trudeau, you hired a medical person with grade 10. Do you understand the fucking gravity of that shit show idea? Mental illness. Psychopathy.
People living with addictions. We're going to continue to follow the science. We're going to continue to work around harm reduction.
If science isn't smart enough to look at the statistics that you guys are fucking failing miserably, don't talk about science. We're sick of science. Almost 100,000 people, excess deaths, and you want to talk about science? Science doesn't even want to talk about that.
Reduction
In
and
Canada.
support for people who are struggling with addictions. We're looking at investing in more community supports and more wrapper.
If you're struggling with cancer, you go get cancer treatment. If you're struggling with hard drugs, you go get hard drugs. You don't give them more drugs, you dumb fuck. You don't give a cancer patient more cancer.
Around services, every step of the way we will be guided by thoughtful, compassionate public health principles.
Thoughtful, compassionate is hiring someone, I gotta say this again, with grade 10 education, mental illness, and psychopathy. Sarah Bly, are you kidding me? Why don't we have them go directly into treatment? You're a drug addict, you get into treatment. We don't want to hear your complaints about your medical crisis if you refuse to get help. Once again, a cancer patient goes in for treatment, not extra cancer.
Principles rather than ideology or criminalization of people who need support, need help, don't need jail sentences.
You're using them to make euthanization zones. You made a euthanization zone downtown East Side. Nazi